Hey everyone, welcome to the Thunk Tank Podcast.
Welcome to our wedding planning episode, how to plan, in fact, the ultimate wedding, your perfect day.
It is with great reverence and also
Honor.
I'll include honor, but
Yes.
also
Love.
that we bring you
true love.
our experience about how to plan a wedding. There are a lot of do's, there are a lot of don'ts. Do you need a tissue, Joe?
Yeah,
Are you getting worked up? This music really does it. True love will find you in the end.
And it will find you here on this, I would say, our best episode. So
It won't find you on your iPad.
No, it won't find you on your iPad in the toilet room. It won't find you
In the shirt in your dirty laundry bin that always gets abused with the latest porn cum swabbing cleanup session. It won't find you there. It'll find you in the bond that you make
forever.
And that's what weddings are about. It's unfortunate that you have to stress about how to throw a wedding. So we wanted to put together a checklist of 10 things that will get you through this turbulent time and get you to the other side of marriage.
Which is true love.
True love, happiness, getting fat, starting to hate each other,
And then death
and eventually death.
and
If
oblivion.
you find this checklist valuable, I hope you'll consider supporting our work on Patreon for as little as $1 per checklist item. Patreon.com/ThunkTankPodcast. We do get into it. We get into the depth of what weddings mean. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Anything else, Joe?
We love you.
Good night and good luck.
Oh, God.
Attention humans, this is a Thunk Tank. Please insert this podcast directly into your nearest orifice for viewing pleasure.
Okay, you ready? Oh shit.
Welcome to the Thunk Tank. Welcome to the Thunk Tank.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Welcome. Come into our Thunk Tank.
Luke, don't switch to the other peanuts.
Welcome to the Thunk Tank. Come in the tank. We're thinking, and we're drinking,
And we're thunked.
and we're thunked.
Oh my god, I'm probably more beer than man if we go far enough back at this point.
So just say 3, 2, 1. You say it into my mic. Now.
3, 1, 2.
All right. Wait. Here comes the thunk.
all dressed in beer.
Suck
Here
on
comes
the
the
thunk
thunk
and
and
come marry
thunk,
me.
thunk.
All right, so you probably clicked on this because you're planning a wedding and you want to know how to do it. What's the ins and outs? Oh my god, I can't.
They probably
Some
clicked on it
expert-
because it was a
expert wedding
mistake,
advice.
first of all.
Oh, I'm all about the clickbaity titles. I understand.
I was
why
gonna
people
say,
do
and it was
now, yeah.
titled whatever we decided to title it amidst our dementia. So welcome. Thank you for joining us. And we are wedding experts of a sort because we just came from a wedding this past weekend.
I thought it was a pretty good wedding
I think-
far as weddings
I
go.
think we gained a lot of valuable wedding experience. Wouldn't you say, Johnny?
I mean, we could talk more generally about them first, but I think that you should analyze that wedding in two parts. Because there was the
Okay.
service, which was really nice and classy and well done, and then there was the catering side of it, which was atrocious.
Oh, that was
and
a
just
disaster.
unprofessional.
And then the
But
Rage
as-
Fest, generally.
Which consider well, that part was great, but it depends. If that was a wedding where I didn't care about any of the people there, I would have been miserable. But I actually liked the people involved, so.
Isn't that what every wedding
the
comes down to?
ceremony was nice, but the
Yeah.
food was. If I was just there for a meal and I hated that side of my family, but I was there because I had to be because of Aunt so and so or whatever, I would have been very annoyed by
Well,
that.
this gets
wedding.
into the premise of what's up with weddings? I mean, come on, people. Why are you getting married?
But I think I said this to Gat before the wedding. Like, when you're in the friend group of the wedding, it's a way more fun experience
Oh,
than
than
if you're
family?
just a cousin that's showing up to the wedding.
Yeah.
Because the
Oh,
cousins are like,
yeah.
who are those crazy motherfuckers that are friends with the groom?
And you're often closer because sometimes you go to a distant family wedding and the friends actually sometimes know the person who's getting married kind of better than you do even.
Totally.
If
Because
it's
they've
distant
hung out
cousins.
all through college
Right.
and after.
That was
yeah.
their college bud or
Yeah.
their work bud or whatever else, right?
Yeah, and that's the ideal situation, and also it depends, I think, on your personal relationship status. Because this is great because we're single, dating, and married between the three of us, so we have a full range of perspectives on this.
Oh, I thought you said that all as one thing, that we're single,
No,
we're also
as-
dating, and we're also married.
Us, it depends on the state, but us as thunkers.
Oh, yeah, that's true. We do have the
So,
full
like,
spectrum covered.
having been married
Yeah.
for a few years already, there's no pressure at a wedding. Especially if me and my wife know people, if we're the friends at the wedding, because it's not like it's her family or it's my family, and we have to protect each other or run interference on the other's family members. That's a thing, like keep that so and so uncle away from me, or if that bitch so and so says something to me, like that's a thing that happens. Like
You just
I don't
mean
like your
dramas?
side,
You,
don't
you
like
already
mine.
have a whole baggage of like family
Right, of
problems.
things
Yeah.
you have to go in ready for tactically. If it's a thing where we're friends and our friends are there, like Kara and I were able to just split up. We didn't really hang out together.
Yeah,
with
you're
a lot
saying
of
that
our
at
friends.
certain weddings you have to form an agreement and say like, "Hey, don't leave me alone."
and stick together, right? And this wasn't one of those, so it's great. Whereas I think if you're single, there's that extra stress sometimes of being like trying to find someone to bring to the wedding or trying to hook up with somebody at the after party.
Oh, I didn't feel any of that stress.
Well, that's because I was there, and you just
That's
wanted to
true.
party.
You and Kara and Luke were kind of and Gat were kind of my
Well, that's
just
his
go-to
point.
people.
Is,
yeah,
and I can't name anybody else off the top of my head.
like for liability
But
reasons.
I mean, like just all the other people you knew there. There were
oh
plenty
yeah,
of people.
plenty
that,
of people to bounce
that,
off.
Like, oh, where did Luke, Gat, Johnny, like if we
Well, it
all
almost-
disappeared, you'd be like, all right, I'll hang out with Drew.
Somebody
then, whatever.
somebody said the first day that it almost has the feel of a music festival or something, because that's what it was like when we went to the Fish Fest years ago, where you're going to find somebody who
It's
you just
playtime.
say, oh yeah,
it's, it's scheduled.
Let's hang out with them.
It's scheduled playtime, which is the whole point of adults going to music festivals. We're going to take 3 days to
pretty
get
great.
together with no
Yeah.
responsibility. It is,
great.
whereas if you come visit me in my apartment, I still have to get groceries. I still have to maybe go to work or walk my dog.
Right,
or-
right, right.
I'm
Yeah, the wedding is
still
all bets
inhabiting
are off.
my real
you don't even
world,
have to make
even
your
if you
bed
are
at
not.
a wedding because like the hotel people do that.
Right, it's not the real world anymore.
Yeah.
It's party vacation world with your friends.
Yeah.
If it's a good wedding.
By the way,
if
the
you're lucky, but-
Labriola's hotel room became like a Labriola room in less than 24 hours.
I would say in less than 24 minutes.
Yeah.
Wait,
No, but I
wait,
came-
can
I
you
came in
describe
there-
what that entails exactly?
I walked in and it's chaos. I don't know whose suitcase is whose. Joe, your
Yeah.
hair was down and you look like a homeless person who was trying to crash the wedding.
I mean, that's not far off. So yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was messy, I guess.
we were already settled in very quickly.
So
right?
they had I just wanted to cover one more thing about weddings before we get into the specifics of that hotel and that moldy ice machine. But the other
Oh, yeah,
problem
that
I think
smelled
is if
dank.
you go to a wedding when you're still dating somebody, where you're like either almost serious, you're serious enough to come to the wedding, but you guys haven't discussed big life things
Yeah.
yet.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe you have, and it's like an unspoken thing at this point. Like she's waiting for you to propose, or you want to, but you kind of know she'll say no. So that it can add like unexpected tension. And then if it's a really like beautiful ceremony, I've heard this from people where leaving the woman's like, so what? They start planning their wedding like hypothetically. It's like, bitch, I haven't proposed yet. It just can cause awkward tensions.
Yeah, as
but
if
if you're
they're not
married
already
and it's a
doing
friend's
that, right?
wedding,
Yeah.
it's the least stress possible.
Yeah, I
Right.
agree. That's the best version of attending a wedding is like when it's a friend and when all your other friends are able to make it.
yeah,
Is it cold in here, Joe?
yeah. Sorry, I got the.
So yeah,
got
if
AC
the
on
hotel
high.
like this one has no bar and the ice bucket was the size of a I don't know, could hold maybe 2 beers.
Would you say, in retrospect, Johnny, that the hotel, having gone through the full weekend, that hotel not having a bar was probably a good thing? Because I was
Yes.
really upset when I got there too, and then after we left, I thought that was probably for the best, right?
We would have spent way more money and we
Oh
would
my
have gotten kicked
God, we
out.
would have spent. We probably would have gotten kicked out. You're probably right. I mean, I feel like people almost did get kicked out.
I'm surprised they let us just take over the hotel like we did.
Well,
so
we
we
had
took over this
90% of the
hotel,
rooms.
listeners. This is a shitty little cottagey type inn. They call it an inn, but it's really just a shitty hotel in the Northeast. And there's, I think I asked the bride, and she said there were 75 rooms in the hotel, 74 rooms,
And we had most
our
of them,
party
right?
had booked 60 something of them.
So I feel bad for it.
There's no
Imagine
way
the two
anyone in our
people.
party, and they fucked up a bunch of shit apparently that was supposed to be provided by the hotel, and they were supposed to have more rooms. Actual family that came after we all checked in weren't able to get rooms and had to stay elsewhere
shit.
that they reserved. So reservations got fucked up. So they kind of just gave us a pass on all, which is hilarious. The family got inconvenienced, so the shithead friends got to trash the hotel.
And inconvenience
It's really
the
not
family
fair.
even more by raging until 4 a.m.
Yeah, we got to
when
do that
Grandpa
because
went to sleep
'cause
at like
No,
midnight.
nobody really tried to stop us from raging.
It's true. So
Nobody
John, are you
tried to
saying
do
they
anything.
didn't really care about our raging because they screwed up enough stuff that they're like, we're just gonna be cool about it.
Yeah, our group paid 20 grand between the 2 nights, I'm pretty sure. I just added up what it was per
That
room
makes
and how
sense.
many of us there
Yeah.
were. And I was like, oh, yeah, there's no way they're going to get angry that we trashed a conference room.
It was just so
But
fun.
also, we weren't like it's not like we were having a bottle fight, throwing bottles at each other.
It
like we
didn't
were
get
just like
bad,
dancing
yeah.
and singing. And,
Yeah, we were just
And
loud.
bags of garbage
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we weren't derelict, destructive.
Kevin pulled out his
monsters or anything.
saxophone at one point, and Alicia was like, "No."
Oh, is that what happened? Because I saw him pull it
Immediately
out,
stopped
and then
it.
is that
I
what
started laughing, and me and her made eye contact, and her eyes bulged. And we have this friend who likes to get drunk and pull his saxophone out, which, it's like... it's the most extreme version of like the drunk guy that wants to play guitar at the party because a saxophone is so freaking loud.
It's louder than
And
you think.
Yeah,
And he plays it really
got
well
heft
and
to it.
very loudly because
he's a really good sax
Well, yeah,
player.
he
He's a
plays
really
it
good
like
sax
very
player.
evenly, so it's like you can actually hear it.
Yeah.
But he's also wasted, so he plays way too loud at you. He'll walk up to you, blaring a saxophone at you at 2 a.m. when you're hammered.
I was hoping he would do it.
I was
Like,
really
I
looking
was
forward
there.
to
Yeah.
as soon as
I was
saw,
gonna take video of that shit.
because I didn't see the in between. I saw him take it out, and I thought, "Oh, this is going to be awesome. Let me get another drink." And then I came back, and he was packing it back up, and I said, "What did I miss? What went wrong?" At some
Well,
point,
maybe if he had done it at 9:30, but it was like 1 or 2 in the
yeah,
morning.
it was
People
pretty
were
late
asleep.
at that point. But again, he was living the music festival vibe, man. He was in it.
He texted me at
Yeah.
6:30 a.m. Jesus fuck. I was like
we
getting
all
up to
wrote
pee.
that.
I'm like, oh, there's a message on my phone. I'm like, oh,
Why is that such a thing? Because it's every culture throughout all of recorded history is some type of wedding ceremony where you binge drink. Even
I
monkeys
think-
that
I
find
think
fermented
it's a
fruit
bonding
binge
thing,
eat the
right?
fruit. I wasn't done talking, but go ahead.
Wait, what about eating the fruit?
I was gonna say even like monkeys in the wild, they do this thing, a ceremonial thing where they'll get together. The time of year where the fruit ripens and ferments and has alcohol, and they'll eat as much as they can, or like try to swing from trees.
name one example of this thing.
Wait,
Or
now
have,
I
like, a
am going to
big-
stop you. What is this based on? What's your source?
It's David Attenborough was talking about.
Okay,
it.
keep
Okay,
going.
Some
I
show.
believe you now. I believe you. You've never been wrong about your stone late night David Attenborough.
Of course not. That's where I do my best research. But but I'm just saying, all cultures, even the Mongolians drink like a nasty fermented yak's milk to celebrate wedding ceremonies and stuff. Why is it that something about? Is it because it's
We
such a
get a fact check on
terrifying decision? It's a bad idea. Something about commitment makes us just want to binge drink and try to kill ourselves. What
Yes,
is
it's
that?
Do you
all
think
bets
it's
are
the
off.
terrifyingness of it? Like,
Yeah, no, I think you're right because
it's terrifying to consider that's
getting
shit.
married
Somebody
is
else
a
just
li-
made a vow.
It's a life. No, it's a life block. It's almost as it's very hefty, right? It's as hefty as any other transition of life of becoming an adult, getting married, having a kid, dying, and the dying leads
Oh,
to the
you
oblivion.
think that when you do that, you see it all. You're like, oh my god,
Yeah.
life is this like.
you see the bigger picture, and you know
Oh,
that
okay.
one of the last step is dying, and
Yeah.
whatever happens then,
I see.
Might as well just
Because in your
pedal
early
to the
20s
metal,
or something,
baby.
you're like, oh, the marriage
Yeah.
thing is like somewhere later.
It's
but when you get to
cerebral,
that
yeah.
milestone, you're like,
Yeah.
oh shit, I just completed like
That's it. It's gone.
maybe like 35% milestone of life if you're
Yeah.
lucky.
Yeah.
Maybe 50% if
Maybe
you're
maybe you're
unlucky,
halfway there. Yeah,
You know?
maybe you're
Shit.
100%
So-
there,
No,
depending
it's
on how
true.
much you drink.
Born,
So you're
high
faced,
school, college,
you're faced with
marriage,
a real
yeah.
world marker for your existential dread. So the response is to try to destroy your body and your ability to perceive reality in the short term.
Nailed it.
Is it
I
just
think
so when
that's
you
part
wake
of
up,
it.
you're like, well, at least I'm not hungover and feel like I'm dying anymore, or I'm not so drunk
You're just
I can't stand.
Johnny. You're just jaded because you've been hungover since Saturday.
I have.
Johnny
It's
had
been
a
like
had a
3 or
pretty
4
harsh
days. It was a
hangover
rough
from this
weekend.
wedding.
Johnny had a harsh hangover, but he had a worse car ride. I think.
I really
I think
think
that
I
fits
just
in the
had
same
alcohol
category.
poisoning.
What?
I think it was because I had the flu going into this wedding. So
I felt like-
I was on the NyQuil. I was on the Quill for a few days.
I felt like you might have had alcohol poisoning when you said pull over by those propane tanks so I can throw up.
Hell
Like
yeah, that
not
did.
that throwing up by propane tanks like is directly connected, but there's a correlation for sure.
We were
You know, I should have just yacked. I didn't. I should have.
we
I kept it together.
we-
I drank
argue
2
that.
gallons of water on Sunday, and I went to bed Sunday night. My mouth dry as sandpaper still, and so I don't know what I did to my body.
I just
it
remember-
took about 3/4 of a gallon before I could pee again, and then it was that like
just
electrified Pikachu colored pee.
I just
oh god.
like,
I just remember
that's,
you
that's
went-
my liver did some
you went
overtime
to,
work.
You went
this
to
past
pee at
week.
like 3 a.m. and you did one of those Austin Powers 2.5 3-minute pees, and you came back to the into the room and you said, "Oh God, I drank so much water. I'm gonna have to pee every 20 minutes for the next 3 hours." And I thought, then what was that just happened?
Yeah, I probably pee too much. I
Toxins?
should get that checked.
No, you got to get it out. You got to get it out. It can't stay.
We
But, yeah,
we had
I
a
drank a
2:30
lot.
ferry reservation, and so we were taking
I
our
don't know how
time.
that happened.
You guys wanted to catch as like walk-ons. You wanted to catch the 1:30, so you guys left
Yeah.
about 25 minutes before us.
Yeah. Did
We
not work out.
miraculously made it to the 1:30. So we text them. We're like, "Hey, where are you guys? You guys must be on the ferry already." It's like, "Nah, we're on the side of the road."
I think I texted Gat back. Pulled over Bridgeport garbage can. Johnny throw up.
yeah, he read it to me. I was like, "Sounds like Johnny got sick."
Sounds like they're not gonna
I
make it.
didn't. I got really close like 4 or 5 times, but I never actually. I just couldn't.
You just
kind of
stood over that.
It's
Well,
because
you-
I didn't eat anything.
He had nothing in there.
That's why
Oh,
I felt
and that
so
ties
terrible. It's
into
the same reason I couldn't puke. I was just drinking water, and my body was sucking it in, absorbing
That-
it right
that
away.
ties into
I
what
had
you-
nothing. I wasn't holding anything in my stomach to kick back up, kick
Yeah.
the poison out with.
Well, that is in large part due to, as you were saying about the catering place, the catering hall, and the dinner, because you got the tuna as I did,
Oh my god, it was so bad.
and it was really, really bad tuna. And Johnny just took one bite and he said, I can't do it. But you didn't replace it with any food. You just kept drinking beer, right?
That's a form of food.
He's not wrong totally.
You know what I realized
I
too?
mean-
Those beers, this place. Part of why it was so unprofessional. I have to rant for a minute, like, straight about the bar service as
All
a
right, just go.
bartender.
Do it.
It was just so bad, and because I was waiting online, and Kevin was standing at the front of his like amorphous line on his side of the bar, just like standing there like this, because this is a gigantic. He's like 6'4", maybe 6'3".
Yeah, probably.
He's tall. Yeah.
Half Scottish, half Cuban gentleman who's like pretty grotesque looking, generally. Like he's very, he's got that mongrel English Isles look to him, you know, that some of them get in the country.
This is a great rant about the bar.
Yeah.
No, I
so,
love the
anyways,
imagery.
I'm making this point not to besmirch our friend, but to just point out that he's a distinct individual. You don't not
He
notice
stands out
him
from the
walk up
crowd.
to
He
a bar.
definitely stands out.
And he
yeah.
stood there for like 20 minutes, and I managed to move up my whole line before she finally got to him.
'Cause the
And
lines
started
weren't
helping,
real.
and so that first of all, bad bar management. You're supposed if there's a line and there's people walking up, you usually split if there's 2 bartenders. You have someone service the line, you have someone service the people actually hanging out at the bar. If you're hanging out at the bar, you're supposed to be able to get service.
Well, that's the
you shouldn't have to
confusion,
leave
right?
your seat at the bar to go around to get on a line.
Some people
That's-
weren't paying attention to the line. They're like, "This is a bar, you idiots! Like, you don't wait in line at a bar. You fight for the attention."
And so,
Yeah, right.
but there's different people don't want to pay attention. They just want to stand in line and talk to their friends and only have to pay attention for a second. I get it. The line happens. It's dumb, but it just happens in all bars for some reason.
Yeah.
Well, at least there, which is a slightly because it's not a bar. I mean, that is,
And it's
bar,
a
but
catering, a catered event. It's not a bar.
Well,
So you
and it's
can't
not
expect everyone
strangers.
there to know how to act.
You're
in a
supposed to
bar.
be around people that you, even if those people I had never met or never even talked to, you still have a connection because you're there
Yeah.
for this.
But you get stuck in conversations you don't want to get stuck in when you're
Right.
in the line thing. Like I was
Luke
right
got
next to
stuck in
someone
a
in
lot of
line. I'm like,
conversations
oh
he didn't
god
wanna
damn
be
it!
in.
Like
so they
we
only
moved
had-
one person
they only
in
had-
5 minutes. Like
They only had 3 beers, right?
they
And
had
they said they had 4.
They had
It was-
Yingling. They had
Yingling?
a sour. They had a saison and a Bud Light.
All right, yeah.
And they ran
the
out of
Bud Light ran out. The Bud Light they
Yeah,
took
how
the
do you run
handle
out of
off
Bud Light?
for over an hour because the keg kicked and they couldn't figure out how to change it. I guess,
I
which is
guess.
absurd
We
to
should've
me
just
as a
done it.
bartender.
They like
That-
radioed it in, and then
Kevin did say at one point,
No.
he said, I'm about to go back there and just start dealing. You know, just start slinging beers.
I would have too if I didn't think they were
For
going to call
free.
the
He'll
cops
give them
on
all
me.
the
Kevin
tips
should have
he
ran.
earned.
Yeah, Kevin
Kevin
would be
should have
like,
ran
"Just
the
watch."
cocktails, and I should have ran the beer at that bar, and it would have been a way better wedding.
You're probably-
let
you're-
me
you're
run the
definitely
draft
right.
tower and I bar back for Kevin and help
Yeah.
him with stuff.
That would've
We
worked
could have
really well,
crushed it.
actually.
Yeah.
and we probably would have made more money than that.
And the bartender-
and we probably could have done it wasted also.
And I
'cause was
also,
pretty drunk by then.
Johnny, I told you this already, but what really triggered me and what probably would absolutely outrage you is that the bartender had this weird exchange with this guy next to me because he wanted extra drinks and she was like, I already served you and whatever. And then she says,
It's weird because everyone was getting double drinks.
Yeah, exactly. And then she says to him, well, the tip jar's over there. And just like turned away.
wow,
And Johnny just left. Look at that.
just like the guy.
Just like no.
That-
just
did
like
she
the
really
bartender.
say that?
Yeah,
Because I
And
could have looked her right in the eye and said, guess what? The tip jar is over there. I put a fucking $10 bill in it, and I waited 20 minutes, and you said, bar's closed.
Oh,
Like, is that a
that
joke?
We
pissed
got to
me
go
off.
back to that though. Doing the tip jar line like that though, like that's a fireable offense at a lot of reputable bars.
As it should be. That's one of the last things you should probably do at that job. Like that's one of the last things you should tell your customers, right?
It's one thing if it's a drunk who's like walked out on tabs and stuff. Like
If it's a repeatable
have
offender,
you should be
different story.
shitty to the right people
Yeah.
as a bartender. But that guy
was
was in a
shocked by
suit
that.
at a wedding. He didn't do anything
And
wrong.
he wasn't being a
but
dick either. He was just
This is
And
what
how
happens.
does she know if he tipped? She wasn't paying fucking attention to anything.
And,
Right.
and the vibe was, we had all been waiting 20 minutes for drinks, so he wanted an extra. He wanted double drinks for his friend, so that the line wasn't as long. And
that happens with shitty, poorly ran bars. Everyone notices how slow it is, so they all start ordering double drinks, so it gets even slower.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And
Yeah,
they were
it's
just
tragedy.
being
They're like
very
trying to
inefficient.
double up the map.
She
They're
would
like,
take
oh,
it.
if I do one,
she would
tragedy
take it.
of the double
She would
drunks.
take an order for a signature cocktail. Make one in her giant shaker tin. Make one cocktail and pour it out.
Or they
And
could have
then
made batch
Yeah.
cocktails.
The next person would want the
wedding.
same cocktail,
That
and she
would've
would
been
do
a
it
great
again.
idea.
And it was like if someone orders one, make three, and then say who wants one, and then you sell it to that person standing at the bar because there was no line.
Yeah.
So someone orders a gin and orders one of those signature because they had like signature cocktails.
And
You know,
by
people
sell,
are
you
going to
mean
order
give.
those. So you,
'Cause there's an
you
open
make
bar.
you
Oh, yeah,
make
it
a
was
full
pretty
tin
great.
worth. You make 3 or 4 drinks, and then somebody's
I had
and
a
then you
great
just
fucking
yell the
time,
name
dude.
out, and someone's going to say, "Yeah, I'll take that." Because they
Let's
don't
make
want
this
to wait
clear.
at
The
bar.
wedding was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I had a great time.
It was an amazing.
Those
wedding.
shitty bartenders
And-
couldn't stop our fun.
But that speaks
No.
that speaks to the vibe of a wedding because some people would say, "Oh, the wedding sucked. Why? The bartenders were awful." And then people will ask, "Well, how was the ceremony?" And they'll be like, "Oh, it was fine." Or if they're honest, "Yeah, I really don't like those people." You know?
Yeah, right.
But
Well,
I've been to enough weddings where I'm either like, or I'm just like, I don't know these people that well.
yeah,
But I knew these people well. I was happy for that wedding, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
me too,
If your job
exactly,
as a
yeah.
witness is to be like, I am supporting this union,
Witness me.
well, I want to be part of it. Right?
silence.
Well, no,
I'm
because
trying to see like what a Mocklin wedding would be like.
oh my god, that'd be awesome. But part of the wedding is like that's part of your job as a friend or a family member is to party hard with them because
It shows that you're in it.
yeah, you're in it. You
Well,
wanna
the
still have a
family's
good
not
time
the
with them.
family. The old family members over 60 aren't going to get up and dance to Fish. That's what your 30-something friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're gonna keep.
Are for.
They're gonna elevate. We were there to. I would like to think we were there to help elevate the vibe.
Oh, I mean, we were there because we're good friends with him, and he was getting married.
But I mean, in terms of actually, but like Johnny.
What role did we take on?
No,
We
that's
took
what I mean.
over. Is that
In terms of what Johnny's saying, if it's just old family, yeah, they're not gonna rage. The vibe
And
is
it's you want
at
that
level.
family there to see you get married, but also you want a party for yourself. Like,
Sure.
it's a
Yeah.
stressful thing. You want to have a band playing. You want to be able to dance. You don't want to just be you don't want everyone staring at you the whole night
It
because
seemed
that's
pretty
already
good.
your
Yeah.
wedding. So you
It's
don't want to be
also-
the only
it's
ones
also the
dancing
first
the whole
time
time.
you throw a
want
party where
friends that-
all your family comes and you get to decide everything. You know, you're
Oh,
like,
yeah,
oh,
that's
this
right.
It is
is
a
me
weird
flavor party.
thing like that. Why do I have to come and watch you make a decision about your life? It's very odd.
No, I
I want to
but-
talk about dowries though.
Okay, yeah, let's just go into dowries. Yeah, because
Wait,
the
so,
people,
but for
the
the
people
person-
who clicked on this and who are still listening,
If they're hanging on,
it's
and-
the dowry people. They
well,
need to know
let's
what's
say they clicked on this because I titled it like the 10 best suggestions for throwing the best wedding. Let's say
Oh, let's do that. Yeah.
Let's say I
do
make that the
Yeah,
title.
Johnny, I don't know if we had this production
and let's
meeting.
say somebody hung on 21 minutes
qu-
so far.
Discussion with you, but we decided we made an executive decision that we're all the worst clickbait titles that we can come up with. from
Really?
here on out.
Why
Yeah,
not?
Why not?
Because if we find someone that actually likes us and they go back to look through the episodes to set their backlog, what else might I like? They're going to skip over episodes they might actually.
Oh no,
like.
we're not. We're never going to sacrifice meaning for clickbait, but
Yeah.
we'll make the titles awkwardly like
They'll know.
search engine optimized titles.
Yeah, we're doing it for.
Oh,
the,
that's
for-
fine.
for the
Yeah.
tank. Yeah.
But
what
yeah,
about what
dowries.
about dowries?
So it's an interesting thing. I was reading about it
See
in
how
the
he looks away
700s.
for a second, as if in
As if
ponderous in
thinking
thought.
to past lives.
Yeah. All right, go ahead. He's channeling. I can feel it. The genie's warming up.
Well, I was thinking about the early Middle Ages, the early medieval times, the way the church ran weddings. Because the church kind of owned everything. They owned all. After the Roman Empire fell, they owned all the land.
That makes sense.
They were the law. If there was a dispute, they would step in. You know, if the local lord or whatever, they self-policed. It was a weird thing, and weddings was such a big part of it. Weddings used to be a lot more business-like. You know, you sell off women like assets.
Yeah, you
more
trade-
or less.
trade 'em for
But they were
goats
also a
and
very valuable
sheep.
asset because they made people. So you got to think of it that way. You know, if you have a young
There's
nobleman
the evolutionary
who wants to build
perspective, and then there's like the economic thing. When
like if
culture
a
and
young
humans and
nobleman
all
wants
that.
to build his homestead and his family name, and he's got retainers and soldiers, and he wants more, and to build more farmhouses on his property and stuff. You got to have bodies. You know, you got to have kids. You got to arrange marriages and make it happen.
And also,
And-
we
and
have
so
this
it's-
drive in us to have kids, and we don't understand it. You know,
So the dowry, I've always
I understand it. I'm not
understood,
doing it.
was sort of because there is a risk when you take a woman into your household, in that she might not make kids for you, or she might just be unbearable to live with, or she might,
because like you get married right after you meet, practically.
right. You're getting married for such other reasons.
But that's because they're so horny. You just like meet an eligible girl at the town dance or the
but
fire
so it's
pit
weird
dance, and you're like,
we
oh
think
my
of
god.
like the Indian. I think in the Indian culture, dowries are paid by the woman's family, right? But in the 700s in Wessex, the man would pay a bride price to buy the woman, basically, from because slavery was just such a commonplace thing. The idea that people have a price that they're valued at, there was an actual fair market value for everybody. Oh, what are you, a warrior, a farmer, a woman, a breeder, a milk sow? Like, you got big titties and you could feed the nobleman's kid.
milk sow.
Everyone had a value. So the idea of a bride price, like let's say your brother dies and his niece comes to live with you, Luke, right? This isn't really your kid. You got to do something with her. She's just another mouth to feed. So you marry her off to somebody.
some money
that-
for it.
Yeah, your neighboring farmer. That
No,
way,
you pay
you got a
somebody to
connection
take her
with
off
the
your hands.
neighbor. You got a friend over there at
He's
their
saying
house.
that was in some places, but in this time in Wessex, you would
In
the man would actually
England.
pay.
Is
to
that, is that because of the economics of the area, or that's just a weird cultural glitch, or
both, a mix of both. But
Interesting.
But so you would try to do it in favorable ways, so it was mutually beneficial.
Well,
ideally.
I mean, it was a.
But
it was
there's
a
the bride
deal.
price would be you would pay the bride price, and it was supposed to actually go to the bride for her security. So let's say it's 20 pieces of silver.
wait, when was this?
I would pay Luke 20 pieces of silver, and it should go to the bride. So she has some sense of security if I drop dead in the fields the next day or go off to war and die.
Yeah, but isn't
'Cause she
isn't
just
this
left the
medieval
household?
England? Isn't her money his money?
What?
She has a
But
bank
there's
account.
like no banks, dude. We're
No.
talking early Middle Ages.
Yeah, where did they keep
Yeah.
their silver?
You bury it. You
By the
always
way,
bury it.
reading about the history of banking is really interesting to see how it all kind of developed.
God damn it! Read Baroque Cycle.
That's
see our
not for the
last
wedding
episode
cast, but-
for a full
Yeah, I should listen
description.
to the latest Thunk Tank. Yeah.
No, we spoil the fuck out of it.
Yeah,
Actually,
just read it.
this wedding episode is going to come out after Andrew Yang. So
After Andrew Yang.
not Andrew Yang, but
Oh,
like we're going to
debate
do
episode?
the debate episode tomorrow night.
Oh shit! I forgot. Oh, the debate's happening
Actually,
right now.
one of them's happening right now.
Yeah, this is the
It's the boring one.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Warren's going to win, probably, right?
the debate.
I mean, it's
This
her
is
and then the
such.
other
This is
people.
not going to age well. This episode.
Okay, back to the wedding thing.
Yeah. Oh, because you clicked on this for that. The 10
I was
best
trying to talk
wedding
about
planning
dowries,
tips.
and you talk about Elizabeth Warren.
All right, keep going with the dowry.
She's against dowries. That's what I'm saying.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Like, share, subscribe.
Patreon.
Patreon extras. Luke will make you a dowry offer if you are a Patreon subscriber.
I'll get
New
married to the
Patreon.
next. No, never mind.
No, just stop. We should have
Can
a
we
married
agree though
tier.
that can
like
we
if
agree
you
that,
subscribe for $1 million an episode, one of us
Luke
will
will marry you.
Sure.
I mean, Joe will marry you.
Too late, Luke.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Luke, you should know better than to make promises on the podcast.
Well, you guys are stupid. Anyone that could pay, I'll do it. Anyone that could pay $1 million per episode is going to have an amazing wedding. I wouldn't mind being there even if I had to work it.
Yeah, but how do you?
Yeah.
What if the person who does it is just a creature?
Yeah, they could be the worst.
Yeah, they
That's
could just.
fine. I'm still
it?
down. Still experience.
You still want to deal with it?
How about this?
I'll tell you what, Morty.
Would you rather? Wait, I only have one option. That's not a...
Yeah. What's the
Never mind. I can't play in that ballpark. I can't do it.
you're
What
not
do you
re-
think
you're
your
not ready.
dowry would be, Luke?
Mine?
Yeah. What,
Let's
what do
say
you
we
worth?
live in a different society, an Amazonian one, where the man gets purchased and the
Okay.
woman chooses. How much do you think you'd be worth in current market
Trumpets.
value?
Do I have like my general skill set, but I was raised there kind of vibe?
No, you're you.
I'm just me. They're buying me from the Northeast
Yeah, they're looking
from
for a
the
husband.
future,
from 2019.
and they're aware of this.
I in
Despite
what,
your
Amazonian
looks,
dollars?
you have
Like,
strong.
If that's where you
thumbs
get
and they
married.
think you're worthwhile.
I'm worth at least like 5 farms
How much is a farm?
That's so vague. I
lot.
meant money amount.
Is that one
in
plant?
U.S. 2019 dollars.
Yeah.
I'm converting
Yeah,
to
we're talking about
middle-aged
now. I
Amazon
don't-
dollars.
What's the average dowry for an American?
Oh, 1,300,000.
You're aiming
Couple
low,
bushels.
dude. Yeah.
Probably
No, I
couple bushels.
Probably like 10,000.
I think it depends on the
20,000.
country, right?
Obviously, yeah. It depends on like
Yeah. If you or
time period and.
No, I mean
country and-
today if somebody from Russia or
Oh,
wherever
you
else,
mean like order a bride?
or however that works. So, yeah, how much? Because I
All right,
know
so
people do green
apparently
Wait,
welcome
really
to the
come in
sex
the mail?
trafficking part of the episode, folks.
Yeah, they fold up.
Well, we're gonna figure out how much
Think that
does
they
an
went in
Lithuanian
boxes
girl
when I was a
cost.
kid. The mail order bride, I'd be like, oh, like
Why did you
They
know
just-
about
they-
mail order brides as a kid?
Seinfeld, I think.
Oh God, yeah, that's right. Sorry, Johnny. What were you saying about nonsense?
I know this is wonderful. You guys continue.
All right, so point number 10 is make sure you go online and do your research before you decide on a venue. And point number 9, I would say is
What's this voice he's doing?
it's indignant, Luke. Like,
It is indignant, Luke. It's a little leftist.
Can I
indignant
finish,
Luke.
actually?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would be your number one wedding planning tip, though? In all honesty,
If half the people you know don't want to come, maybe it's not a good wedding.
That is great.
this is a
advice,
general
actually.
life philosophy. You might suck.
So what's that weird thing about where people have a wedding and they'll tell people and you can't say anything negative? Like, it's such a weirdly selfish thing.
What do you mean you can't?
If you
Oh,
go,
you have to
I'm
say,
getting
"Oh, it's
married," and
wonderful.
you go, "Oh, really? I'm so happy for you," and you're really thinking that guy or that girl that they're getting married to
You're
is
kinda
a
like,
huge
"Oh, fuck."
piece of shit.
It's like, oh,
You know, you can't say it though. Why? That's such
Event
a weird
horizon
thing.
crossed.
But these are the people. But the only people that make the cut to get invited to your wedding are the people whose opinion you actually care about.
That's not necessarily
so it's
true.
It's a
There's
weird,
some guilty
selfish,
invites, like
self-indulgent thing.
even
the
at
whole
the
wedding
friend
in
level.
general.
Sometimes
No, but there's also
you just like that the kind of I have to invite them.
But
kind of thing.
there's also people plan a huge wedding for 200 people, and then guess what? You invited a lot of people who either for whatever reasons don't show up, whether it's travel or finances or whatever.
No,
and then
I'm not-
you invite other people to fill in. So
I'm not saying everybody at my wedding is the best person in my life. I'm just saying all
not
the
saying
best
that either.
people are the ones I'm going to invite if I can afford it.
they'll all be
you know?
invited.
Yeah.
But it
Right.
depends on what type of wedding you're going for. I mean, there's different tiers of like you went. For
I know.
a
I'm
big
just
wedding.
saying. I'm saying the phenomena where most weddings people throw and they invite their favorite family. They have to invite all the family usually, but you invite your favorite people and family and friends and everyone, people whose opinions you care about. But meanwhile, if they say anything
not
to
necessarily- that's not
disagree with you
necessarily
relating
true.
to this and this big life choice, you tell them to go fuck themselves and just cut them out. And
But
let
there
them
were
die.
definitely-
and it's
how
a
many people were
weird
at your wedding?
cultural
I see
thing.
what you're saying, Johnny. The whole point is like you're having a bunch of witnesses that supposedly
It's
agree
supposed
with
to
what
be
you're
a
doing.
community
But how
thing,
many
right?
Any of the
It's-
ones that say they don't agree, you say then don't fucking come. It's
But they're
kind
not
of
going to
like
say that.
It's not
well,
really
they
a
mostly
community
won't.
experience.
Some do.
Some do. That's true.
Some
Some
do.
do. Once in a
Some,
while.
if pressed, do.
Some if pressed will say what you don't want to hear.
We're talking about no. Never
What do you
We're
mean,
not talking
Joe?
about anything.
What do you mean, Joe?
These are all hypotheticals.
These definitely didn't happen to me in 2000.
All right, I got
What
a
was that
question. then.
vaguely
I got a
Matthew
question to
McConaughey
propose to the
voice?
Thunk
Oh,
Tank.
it's-
Seventeen.
oh, it's coming out.
17.
Here, I got a
Months
question.
ago.
I'll ask you, Luke,
2017.
first, and then I'll ask Joe. What is the either best or worst, which is ever more interesting, way you've ever turned down a wedding invitation?
The worst way I've ever.
Or the best way, whatever makes the
Yeah,
best
I'm gonna
story.
take the best option from Luke and say the best way was when you told me you were getting married, and I was like, yeah, I'll be there.
That's not true. I know you have a better story than that.
No,
Try harder.
how else is there a good way to RSVP? What do you mean? What's an example of that? Can you give me a qualifying example?
Well, let's say somebody. I'd rather you tell the story, but I'll just tell it for you.
Wait, okay, I
Let's
don't
say-
know. What you're,
Let's say you have somebody who's. It's a situation we're talking about. You have a friend who's getting married, and you think deep down, I care about this person. Their spouse that they're choosing is a horrible choice for a whole list of reasons. And it doesn't mean you don't like your friend anymore. It just means you think they're making a mistake, and you can't. You care too much to not say anything.
Right.
So you try
very
to be the
familiar
nice
with the
guy
situation you're
and to
painting here.
tiptoe
Oh, so you
around
mean
it
be
and try to
honest?
just. So you try to do the right thing and morally just bow out, right? Like I don't want to be there and openly lie by co-signing it. Like you're saying, witnessing something is
Yeah,
your
'cause I
approval.
ju-
your
If you
tacit
were to
approval
witness
of
it and keep your mouth shut, then you're
speak
lying.
now or
Then you're a
forever hold
liar,
your
yeah.
peace. You're there to not speak. Most people, you're there to witness, and that's your way of agreeing. So if you really care, you just no, can't make it. Sorry, this or that. And let's say they really push you, and then they call you out and go, "Do you have a problem with me?" And it's the person you have a problem with. What would you say to that?
Yes.
I'm just gonna tell you. You want to know the truth? I'll tell you the truth. And any listeners want to know the truth? I'll tell you the truth.
Yeah.
That's what you said, right? In this situation, Joe.
well,
that's-
I have to get. By the way, the
You,
situation
you
we're
asked
describing.
though. You prefaced. You want the truth. You want me to tell you the truth here?
Yeah.
And then you laid out the truth, and then you didn't go to the wedding, right?
I will always tell the truth when pressed. I'm not gonna sugarcoat things. I'm not gonna try to say things that aren't true either. I'm not gonna try to say things for saying things' sake. I'm gonna tell you how it is.
especially
more
if
weight.
the person asks you directly.
Yeah.
And or they cross a line so as to say, like, if the subtext of how they're acting is like, I am so unaware of what's going on, then you're like, Jesus, none of my subtle signals worked low these many years.
Low, very low, highly low.
So what Johnny's describing is allegedly what happened to us a few years ago. And let me just give the tagline that I tell other people when they ask about what happened. I basically say, I went from being the best man at a wedding to being just a man at a wedding to being disinvited from a wedding.
That sounds
Persona
sounds like
non grata.
1,000 years from now. That will be some great philosophical quote.
But isn't
like,
that
passed down
the
from
best
ages.
man's job? I kind of think I might have failed as a best man to a wedding once because I didn't talk this person out of getting married, and they definitely weren't and still aren't mature enough to be in a marriage.
But did you at least explain? I mean, you did try to explain that.
I
because-
did finally, and the responses I was getting was, "We should have had this conversation a year ago. I've spent too
Yeah.
much money on
Well,
this."
at least
which is
certainly
a
I know that
terrible
now.
response.
But again, at
Once
least
you make that mistake, then that's
Yeah,
you
no,
won't make it again.
But at least you did acknowledge
Theoretically.
it. Like that definitely is something. I mean, again,
Yeah.
I think this speaks to the bigger point of what is a wedding. If it's just a thing that's going to happen and you're going to do it no matter what, and you're doing it just for vanity's sake because you want to have a huge party,
Or you like the
then it means
attention on
noth-
yourself or
Yeah,
something,
Exactly.
yeah.
You want the attention, then it means nothing, and it doesn't matter what people think or what you do. You're just going to plow ahead and do it anyways. But if you really do have people who care about you and you want their opinions and their input, yeah, they might say some real shit to you. And guess what? They probably should
I
because
have
those
a
are probably
question.
your
You guys
real
are both
friends.
you guys are both at my wedding. Do you, at the time, not now, because Kara and I are very happy, but at the time, did you think it was a bad idea?
No,
the
You
wedding?
could be honest.
No.
it was a great
Me
wedding.
marrying us getting married.
We
it
still
was
can't
it was
say bad
both a
things
really
about weddings.
fun wedding,
It was great,
but it
yeah.
was also very genuine. Like I was like, yeah, they're eating bacon on the altar. Johnny and his wife ate bacon together as their bonding thing on the altar. I was like,
my
this
wedding is
feels
sick.
right.
I literally, as best man, had bacon in my jacket, my suit jacket pocket, ready in case
Johnny's
accidentally
wedding was like a
accidentally,
Shire wedding.
accidentally ate his vow bacon because they instead of doing vows they exchanged bacon, and in case he accidentally ate his, I had backup panic bacon ready to
Jesus.
go.
In case
So-
Johnny nervously ate his bacon before his wedding.
Guess what? Most
Almost
weddings,
happened.
if you propose that, the other person would be like, "That's not funny. I
Yeah.
want this. Grandma wants that."
Don't even think about the bacon thing.
So
Your
part of why
smile
my
isn't
wedding-
contrived enough. Eh.
And I think we kind of covered it early on, but part of why my wedding was so great is because the wedding itself was not the focus. Like we wanted to get married.
cheese-
Party,
was
the
the
people were the
focus,
focus. Yeah.
It was a great
so we could
party.
start our life together, and then our parents pushed the wedding. We told them we were going to do like a courthouse thing because we didn't have any money, and I was going to move to Scotland actually, and I needed the green card or blue card or whatever it is.
Wait,
over
that was
there.
the plan?
That was the plan. We were getting married so I could move over there.
All right,
then-
faster. I'm bored.
Which never even happened.
All right,
but-
Dennis. No, wait, who does that, Matt?
Anybody from Always
Yeah,
Sunny, yeah.
anybody.
Yeah, that might
Faster,
be an
come on.
interesting part of the story, but that's
Yeah.
fine. Forget the international.
We got to
travel
get to
part.
step 9 of planning the best wedding.
You're right.
Down,
So
counting down.
we-
Oh shit! Really?
So our parents all freaked out because we were both the first of our siblings to get married. And
Oh, yeah, that's
had
right.
a live
First of your
grandparents and
name.
stuff.
Yeah.
And they were just like, absolutely not. We're throwing you a wedding. And me and Kara's response was like, okay, but like you have to do the hard work and the planning. We
We'll
don't
show
really
up and get
care."
married.
But then Kara ended up coming around and like choosing a bunch of things, but like didn't really care, wasn't pushy about anything. A smart thing, and this is the advice part I would say, is she didn't want to. She looked at how much flowers cost and said, "Fuck that! I'd rather spend that on beer for the bar. I'd rather
Yeah.
spend that on craft beer instead of like Bud Light, which is what
Good
we
call.
did. We had 7 craft beer kegs.
Oh, I
some
know.
good
at the
beer.
wedding.
Good and bad.
It was
Good,
great.
delicious beer. Bad, I lost count of how much beer I had. You know,
That's fine,
But that's
though.
not the beer's fault.
After,
it's-
after
instead-
5 craft
Alcoholic.
beers, it's kind of like I had a lot of beer. That's your only.
Instead,
Adds up
we had-
real
Yeah.
quick.
Instead, we had sempervivums, which are a type of succulent. It's a like a cactus plant, basically, and they live forever and they flower kind of regularly. But they can live for years and years and years. So we had those, and then we let people take them home because wedding flowers are dead within a week. And every now and then, I'll be at a friend's
They're
house who's
already
at
dead.
the
They
wedding,
just keep
and
dying.
more often than not, I'll see the little pot on a shelf somewhere.
That's
and
awesome.
they've killed it since then.
for the competent
sempervivum's
people
dead.
that were able to remember to take it home.
Right. But most of those plants are still dead anyways. People overwater those and kill them. But the pot is still there, which is nice.
Yeah.
But
You
that
gotta love
saved
the
us
pot.
thousands of dollars. We didn't have a
Free.
cake. We had a cheesecake.
Yeah,
Now,
I know.
When
Wait,
I say we
explain
had a
that, though.
cheesecake, I don't mean New York cheesecake, the kind you get at
Not the
Cheesecake
dessert.
Factory. We made a 3-tiered wedding cake or a 4-tiered wedding cake out of wheels
Wheels
of
of
cheese,
cheese.
descending circumference.
So many of
wheels
that people
cheese.
were so confused by it because I remember when you guys started cutting the cheese, people kind of looked at each other as if, wait, where's the actual cake? They were waiting to get an
There's no
actual
cake.
cake, and you guys were just like, yeah, that's not what we're doing, and
It's cheese.
that's perfect. No, but that's what's cool about a wedding like that because it's so what you guys are. It's of
Your
course
wedding
you guys have wheels of
reflected
cheese.
you guys.
Yeah.
That's what was good about it.
But
More
there's
so than
still
a lot of
you still
weddings.
got to give the people a party. If I'm going to a wedding, I'm being promised a party, and you're going to get a gift for throwing on a
But
party.
I mean, party aside, the whole thing reflected your flavor
right?
of party.
But I mean, like if your weird wedding, even if it's really meaningful, is standing around a sequoia and humming for 6 hours, that sucks. That's not a
does
party.
that?
So there's ways to do weird
friend
weddings
Steve.
and still do them fun.
he eats horse meat.
But
Like, share, and subscribe.
But yeah, our ceremony was about 5 minutes long.
Yeah, keep
6
the
minutes
ceremony
long.
short, which is what I
Real
liked about
short.
this wedding.
We had a fiddle band hiding behind the tree we got married next to. So as soon as we were done, she popped out playing the fiddle, and you had to follow her over to the cheesecake. And then the
true.
party was started with it. Oh, we did a shot of whiskey together too at the end of our vows, which
Yeah.
I like too better than just
Oh, I forgot we were drinking whiskey the whole time too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you
And
gave
that-
us the
the-
flasks.
And we did. I did
to
a
say.
bacon acrostic. Actually, that was my wedding vows.
You did what?
An acrostic. That's where.
Oh yeah, because
each
I helped you write
word-
it.
Yeah, each word, each letter in the word stands for a line. So
Yeah.
bacon meant, to be there for you or whatever. I wrote that morning, freaking out while eating bacon. That's how I
my
came
God.
up with
That's
that.
the way to do it.
But it worked out, and it was magical, and everyone loved it. And then we all did a shot, like 300 people did a shot of single malt scotch at the end. And then we
that
just
was
partied.
good.
yeah.
Yeah, that's how
I
you
had
do
a
a
great time at
freaking
that
wedding
wedding. I was
service.
like newly single too, so I was just like, I'm in the Shire, nothing matters.
Yeah. I think that might
And
have
then
been
it
my
ended.
favorite.
I was
wedding.
like, oh, I
wasn't
should go home
Yeah.
and figure
It
out where
wasn't
I'm
in a-
moving.
It wasn't.
and
It
sober
wasn't
up.
an old barn, so it was a very Shire-like wedding. It was a
It felt
barn
like the
next
Shire.
to an apple orchard.
Certainly. So, if you can have a Hobbit wedding, that's number 8, and
Oh shit,
Definitely
we're
have
an
as
hour.
much Hobbit
now only
themed
40 minutes because we were
things
like
as you
calling
can in your
before.
wedding.
Oh yeah, that's right. Like, share, and subscribe.
Joe, do you, Joe,
Yes.
take this Thunk Tank to be your lawfully wedded podcast through demonetization and profits?
But mostly demonetization.
good times and bad?
I can't even say demonetization.
Until robot apocalypse do us part.
Do us, do us die. Like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get replaced by robots. What's the deal with insert reference?
Johnny, I want your opinions, however, on because there's the whole thing that there's always supposedly the pressure, you know.
Oh, you were saying about the thing, right?
Yeah, with the wedding
With the
night,
thing
it's
stuff?
supposed to be the first time that you ever, you know.
Consummate.
Oh,
Yes.
So I would give this advice.
Yes. Step 8. Are we on 8?
I would say bang way before the wedding, way before the engagement. Find out if you bang well.
So yeah,
together
so
first.
divorce
haven't heard
rates
of
are
that.
actually lower amongst millennials than boomers and older group because we
we're baller.
because it used to be when you got married you weren't really allowed to get divorced unless things were really really bad. Whereas now you can easily. So the idea of getting married to
You think
someone
that's a good
before
thing?
you have sex with them, before you lived with them, before you really get to know them is just crazy and dumb. To
No,
us,
but I
'cause
mean-
it is such an economic choice.
I mean,
Yeah.
isn't your theory that you're supposed to bang the morning of?
you should definitely bang the morning of. I'm just giving you my reasons
that's
why.
Yeah.
that's a specific theory. You don't mean for the first time. You just mean like get the tension.
just get it out of the way.
Right, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you
Bang
because
and eat bacon.
I don't think anyone
And
would
bagels,
recommend in 2019 to marry someone that you've never had sex with.
Oh, I know lots of people who do.
There
that.
are definitely.
I
a
do
lot of
too,
people.
and
I don't
they
know
come
any of
off a
them.
little
I
weird,
think
and I
of-
can't
Yeah, you
imagine their sex lives are very fulfilling.
You know
I do.
them. Yeah, you know them. I'm the type of person who gets this information. Apparently,
I know them, but I don't know I know them. I don't know this about them.
apparently, because I know you know them.
Okay.
Oh, it's Luke's brother.
No, we banged.
It's,
What?
It's Luke. It's
Whoa.
Luke himself.
So yeah, so
Luke's still-
definitely,
Luke's
so
still
since
waiting,
it's
I
not,
give him
it's really
credit.
not this special magical
out.
thing.
For the special
If
one.
you-
No, you're not.
It's not this special magical thing if you've done it 1,000 times before you get married. Of
course.
You know, it's just something you should do regularly, right?
Sex or marriage?
The idea of, and how often coming home from a long night,
What?
does
Summer
that
night.
always happen, Like, I don't know about you guys, but once you get married, sex is kind of like a
chore.
like, hey, plans got canceled tonight. Let's stay in, have a couple beers, and see what happens. It's kind of just like, it's not something you're like, let's go out and see a movie and get dinner and do all this stuff. And when we come home, are really tired at the end of the day, then let's do it. It's
Oh,
not
you
that.
skip all the steps that you just assume. You don't have to
Well,
be
because
like.
right. I mean, everyone has their own whatever, but definitely doing it the morning of is better because.
You'll be so tired at night.
Well,
You'll
it's
also be
it just
wasted.
it clears your mind. That like post sex like lucidity you get.
Oh, you're
And
saying you get
I
the-
think it actually
Oh,
improves
it's like-
when you're up there telling your vows. Like you really
Yeah,
you're thinking about your full relationship with this person.
Your monkey mind's
physical,
not confused
spiritual,
by the sex
emotional,
part.
all that
Yeah.
nonsense.
That's like how Mike Tyson
I
used
see
to
what
bang
you're
right
saying.
before he went out for huge fights. That was his strategy.
Well,
Yeah, I think he's just a rapist who couldn't help himself.
you got the baby batter on your brain.
that's also a sentence. The what?
You got the baby batter on your brain. You got to clear that out and find out what you really think.
Don't use that phrase, baby batter. I
Joe
don't know
Rogan
why, but I
describes
don't
it
like
as like when you're being led around.
You got to go
by
out and
your...
feed those geese real quick behind the wedding hall, and then get back in there.
No, I mean,
What?
you can just masturbate, but like
You know,
don't
feed the
think
geese,
clearly if you're
Joe.
really
Well,
horny.
yeah, you can always just masturbate.
On the bus, on the playground.
shower.
No.
And what if you're getting married that morning?
Step 7.
Step 7. Don't
masturbate on the playground.
All right, we're really
I
getting
thought it was.
somewhere here.
I thought it was bang the morning of your wedding.
Yeah. That's step 6.
Oh yeah, that's
Bang
step
the
6.
morning of
Honestly,
your wedding, not
my-
on
our
the
wedding-
playground. All of that is step 7.
Yeah.
Our
That's-
wedding, by the end of the night, we were so drunk and tired, and we were sitting on our bed with
Yeah.
Gat eating hummus and watching Party Down.
Oh, remember we ruined the ironing board with Chinese food?
Oh, that did happen this wedding. Rule number 5 is if you get Chinese food all over the hotel ironing board, make sure you put it back in the
Can we
closet
stitch-
so that they think the
Oh,
next
you weren't
guest
there
did
for
it.
that.
Can we stitch this episode together? We'll edit out all the rules like separately and just put them back to back.
Of course.
Good idea. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Just
rule
watch
5.
them
If you get
devolve
duck
like a
sauce on the
jump site.
ironing board, just try to hide it.
Yo,
Yeah,
I
we
fucked up
just
with the ironing board too. I just put it back in the closet.
Wait, what did you do?
There
to
was
it?
a whole box of like Chinese sauce everywhere.
on the ironing board.
Just everywhere.
Oh, after you left our room, Luke, I spent a couple of minutes picking up all the Chinese food that just fell out of your mouth. And was getting this hotel had like horrible carpet.
That's right.
I came into Johnny's room. They were going to bed, and I'm like, well, I'm going to take this box of leftover Chinese food. And I started eating an egg roll on my way out
Yeah.
as I'm trying to hold a bunch of boxes, and some of it was falling out of my mouth. Yeah, that totally
I
Everywhere.
happened.
remember Johnny was so pissed. He
Yeah, I
starts.
got
he goes, "There's duck sauce on the ironing board," and then he goes, "Luke's Chinese food is all over the fucking floor."
My dress shoes were covered in your Chinese food. They got all greasy.
I'm so
I was
proud.
angry. Yeah.
I knew I did something right.
I just never
did, you
got to
nailed it.
confront you because it was too busy doing other
Yeah.
things that weekend.
Like Sharon subscribed.
You mean because that morning, all you had, the only brain energy you had to go towards not throwing up?
I mean, the majority of it.
I remember your face at breakfast, and then like Kara got you a sandwich because she was like,
I
maybe
never
you'll
touched
want it,
that
and you
thing.
looked at it and you
There was
made
a
that
breakfast?
like, when somebody's like feeling nauseous because of like a vodka
Johnny, you immediately
hangover?
said, "I can't eat breakfast."
if you have a vodka hangover and somebody says the word vodka and you're like,
Yeah, it triggers you.
yeah,
It-
you looked at that
yeah,
fucking
some
egg
nerves in
sandwich and you
go.
were like, like
Yeah,
I saw the
yeah.
trauma behind your eyes.
"Yeah."
I really
You were
should have
You were a
eaten
little
something,
shaky,
but I didn't eat until that night.
dude. You should have eaten the shitty tuna like I did. Best decision
should
of
have
my
eaten
life.
the
so
shitty
far.
Sometimes you got to force something
so
down
bad,
early
though.
in that morning,
But I
and
did,
just try to like
but I didn't
balance
get,
your stomach.
But I knew the tuna wasn't bad. It wasn't that it was undercooked or something where it would make you sick, like throw uppy.
Oh, old
it was
tuna
just,
can still make you sick if it's overcooked.
No, it was just not good tuna. It was awful tuna. But I was
And it was
fine.
way overcooked. You couldn't tell. It was so cooked
Dude.
and seasoned that you can't tell if it's
God.
rotten
Yeah,
meat.
it was
I don't
bad.
want to eat it.
It was really bad, and it was fat too. It was
All
it
the
was
steaks were well done.
It was like
no
the
matter
size
how
of
you
a
ordered
roll.
them.
It was like the tuna slice was the size of a toilet paper roll.
It was
which is
2
way
inches
too big.
thick, at least.
Yeah,
2 to 3 inches thick, which is way. It was just too much fish.
Heard that
and
before.
they gave you a plain white rice with it. They gave you a sauceless white rice, whereas the tuna itself was covered in like giant chunks of awful squished black pepper.
Oh, I
and
like that.
this
That was the best
weird,
part.
Sweet, like hoisin-y sauce.
I just got drunk and started licking that.
that stuff was nasty. It was nasty.
Yeah, it was a nasty night.
So what is marriage?
Marriage.
It is a bond between two individuals.
What is
Johnny's the
line?
only one of us
Webster's
who's
dictionary
married,
defines
so-
a wedding as melting two pieces of metal together.
Okay, so Johnny, no, because I'm curious about Johnny's definition because he's the only one of us who has been, who is actually married. So
Successfully so.
what is marriage? Why get married?
What is a wedding? Yeah, why?
Yeah,
why bother?
What's the deal with getting married, people?
Let's assume the law allowed you to, like, there was no benefit towards being married
Because you can
by law.
you can get a civil
So-
partnership, right? You don't need to technically be married for the other stuff, do you?
Yeah, I think when you're with someone long enough, if you get a self-awareness of the codependence that you have on each other, it makes things easier. You know what I mean? And that just is a thing that comes with marriage because it is a contract you're signing. Like, you're stuck with me whether you want to or not.
So why
when
do
you
that?
sign a contract with a job, with a company, you're working here for the next 2 years, 3
So
years,
why not
whatever,
avoid it?
whether you
I
want
guess
to or
is the
not.
question.
I feel like it's a little bit of security coasting through to death. Like we were saying earlier, where there are these markers, right? And you have options. You can either say, I'm going to continue to do my own thing and be on my own, relatively speaking, in contrast to something like getting married where you have that partner or that codependency.
I think it's a bet.
Well, I think it's something that you look at the oblivion with. It's somebody that you look at the oblivion with, right?
Yeah.
Well, what
it's
I'm saying
coming.
by bet
that
is I'm
oblivion's
saying you're
coming no
betting
matter
on
what,
your.
Joe.
The what?
The oblivion's coming no matter what you do.
Exactly.
You get
So you
married
might as
10
well be
times,
with somebody,
it's still
right?
coming.
I think it's not. I mean, I think being with someone, as long as you figure out how to do it, leads to a much less stressful life.
It can if it's done well.
because
yeah.
it's
But
like
it can
having a
also
roommate. You can
be
have
the
a great
opposite.
roommate,
Totally.
but
Well, you
are
have
they going to
help,
be
right?
a great roommate for your whole life, or is it just this time in your 20s or your 30s or your 40s
be
or
careful
whatever?
about that.
And your lives are going to change. Whereas somebody you're building a life with, it can really help to take a lot of the slack off. You know,
Yeah.
certain things I'm better at than my wife, and she's better at than me. Like, she's terrible at cleaning dishes. She's just horrible at it. She just will like rinse a glass with cold water and
it's
soap.
still oily, right?
And do nothing. And she's gotten a lot better. But when we first got together, I was like, yeah, you just did nothing. I have to
when I wash
why
dishes,
is the dish
I
rack full of
fucking do
dirty
it.
dishes? You know,
I know people like that. They just kind of like touch the dish and they think because the sponge touched it, it's
Joe
not
does
clean.
that. Joe's one of those people.
He's a little bit of a soft
His glasses
pressure
are
cleaner.
all, they look like frosted glass, you know, that you buy like that on purpose, and they're not.
It's just stuff. That didn't come
It's
off of
just
him.
stuff.
No, I wash dishes so
But,
well.
you know, like, I
that
have a
get
nice
sore
house
hands the
because-
next day.
I have a nice house because me and my wife both work. You know, I really own one half of the house, but it means my podcast studio is bigger than Joe's apartment.
That's true.
Because
I mean,
we're both working
same.
towards the same goal of wanting a house, not wanting to live in an apartment. I don't want assholes on the other side of the wall as me. And if you could find somebody that shares the same sentiments with you, which is why communication and relationships are so important, not just for your own happiness, but just for the ease of your life. If you're living two separate lives and you hate how each other's lifestyles are and you're trying to cohabitate, you should not get married, you know, even if you share religious or this or that or whatever.
No matter the awesome connections, if you have trouble, I think you probably shouldn't get married until you've lived together for at least a few months.
Rule
know what
number
I mean?
4.
What?
We snuck in a real rule while Joe was in the bathroom.
Oh,
That's
shit. Rule
Rule
number what?
number 4 we're up to, right?
Did-
You should have to...
Let's
I
just
thought
do
we're counting
5
down
because I don't think we did 5. What was 5?
No, we did do 5. It was to bang on the morning of your wedding.
Okay. So 4
no-
is live with the person for at least a few months.
I say a year. Get a year. If you can share a lease, because that's a contract.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you can split if you
Right,
want to
right.
get married,
If you get in a fight and she's just like, peace out, I'm out of here, and then like she leaves for a month and then comes back a month later and is like, maybe I was wrong, like
but have you
that's
heard
a
Bill
data
Murray's?
point that would stop you from getting married probably.
Have you heard Bill Murray's advice for people that want to get married? He
No.
answered this one time. I might fuck this up, but I'm pretty sure it was. I'll wait for Joe to get his headphones back on.
This is Bill-
But yeah,
Joe,
you want to
this is
share a contract. Like if your
Bill
fiance
Murray's advice
skips out on
on
the
marriage.
lease and says "fuck you," I'm not giving you any money. It's my money. It's like I know people who've been engaged who talk like that. It's like if you're not willing to share your money and bail your significant other, like, well, that's their problem if they can't pay their bills. It's like what? No, you
No,
shouldn't
yeah,
be
that's
getting
the
married.
wrong
You're
idea.
trying to
What's the
share
point
everything.
at that point?
That's the wrong
But
idea.
What are you doing?
But
Yeah,
Joe,
if you're not unionizing your life, then like what are you doing?
rule number 4, Joe, we just came up with rule number 4
Yeah,
is you
but
should
it was a real
you
one,
should sign
by
a
accident.
1-year lease with your fiance before you get married
Oh, I was going to say
as a
you should
practice
prenup too.
contract. But I also wanted to tell the story of how what Bill Murray gave
I'd be
advice
happy
when
if
someone asked if they should get married.
What?
He said if you want to get married, you should go with your fiance to the airport and just go. Get on the first flight, pick a random place, and like don't take anything, don't plan it.
That's
and
a
just
great
go.
idea.
And if you don't
Great
kill each
idea.
other, just go for a month or 2 weeks or whatever. And if you come back hating each other, then you should not get married.
That's a
And
great
it's a way
idea.
of taking you out of your comfort zone and forcing you to focus on this other person.
Yeah.
And like if they have little habits that bug you now, when you're overtired and jet lagged and you miss the train, or it's gonna come out. And if it's actually really good advice, I think.
But
That's
you know what the
great
tricky
advice. I
thing
love
is?
it.
Is if let's say you're having trouble with someone's habits, you have to genuinely ask yourself: is it me or is it them? Sometimes
Or is it
it's them.
both? Sometimes it's both.
Well, it's always definitely going to be
You would,
like
Luke.
there are going to be things from both angles that annoy the other person.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
there are deal breakers, and you have to know like,
Yeah,
wait, is
what your
is
deal
this a
breakers
deal
are,
breaker
yeah.
or am I being unreasonable?
Right.
It's hard to walk that line, but a year, I think. Rule number 4, as I've always said, I mean, ask anyone. I've always said this. Rule number 4 about weddings is make sure you live together for a year.
That's rule number 3.
No, we just made that rule when you were in the bathroom.
Then what's rule number? I thought the Bill Murray rule was rule number 4.
No, the rule number 4 was live at least for a year in the same place. And if you haven't sorted out,
But
like,
I don't know,
whether
man.
it's compatible within a year,
I know-
then like
I-
assume it's not.
But
probably.
I know people who have gotten married who never lived together, never had sex, and they're very happy
you
together
can get
now.
lucky. I'm not saying that
But
you
how
have
much
to
is
do
it,
that.
how much of that is luck? What are the percentages? I want the math.
What do you mean?
It's
Luck.
2019. Hashtag Yang Gang. Let's hear
Joe, wrong
the math.
episode, wrong episode.
Oh shit, that's next episode or previous episode. Fuck.
Yeah.
Like, share, and subscribe. No, but seriously, we don't know the numbers on this, do we? Do you? Have you read the psychology? What are your studies that you're referencing? Please do share, like, share, and subscribe.
Parse through the data,
Faster,
so to
now.
speak.
So let me just say that
Yeah, you're full of shit.
I think when I was rewatching Game of Thrones
Oh, Game of Thrones. That's your research study, right? Okay, gotcha.
and just watching that, like when Robb Stark got married to that girl, what's her name?
big mistake.
They had like 3-4 people there, right? The point is you have to have some witnesses, but the main idea, and whether this is required or not, it
It's like
depends
an
on the
oath.
person.
You're right.
But you make an oath in front of
Yeah.
the gods and in front of the men,
Yeah.
and by men I just mean humankind, whoever's there.
Go on.
Could be women.
And who?
Wow.
I think
anyone
women
else?
should be invited to weddings.
Anyone else? Would you like to clarify?
You say
So just
that
the two genders that
I mean, you
approve
literally
of.
say
Okay.
He's drawn a line. It's
until
clear.
death do us part.
fine.
Like you make a vow to do something, right? And so divorce would be the idea that something about the conditions of this vow changed, so it's valid for me to break out of it, right?
Yeah, as in you're a liar.
Well, I mean, it depends on the situation.
Well, I mean,
everybody
liar
that
is-
breaks a contract
can be
legally,
emotional.
can't admit they.
But
went
would you
into
admit
it
that
planning
making
to
a
break
vow
it.
in the context of a wedding is something a bit more sacred to what it means to be human than like the painter who signed a contract to finish by this date at your house or something?
No. Legally,
See,
it's
I'm
not.
confused.
Legally, it isn't though.
Legally,
Maybe-
it isn't, but a
maybe
wedding
socially.
is partially legal.
Right,
But
culturally and
mostly
socially
the
it
other
is.
thing that we already said,
Yeah.
culturally, like all these people are showing up. By them just being there silent, they're saying we agree with what's going on, you know?
Right, I
I
wouldn't
mean,
show
really,
up
the
if
best
you-
thing about me getting married is my credit score went way up.
Really?
In terms of economic
Car
stuff,
insurance
we
gets
just had to do
cheaper,
a
too.
credit check for a new apartment. And should I say the actual numbers or is
Sure,
that
if
bad?
it's a good number.
Probably not. Just
Right,
say it went
probably-
just say it went from good to excellent or fair to good.
That works.
Or fair
Well,
to
let's
excellent.
just say we're both have great numbers, but hers is like
just go
80
Trump.
points higher than mine, which
hers
is a
is like,
lot
what,
on the
480?
scale. And she was like, what the hell, blah blah blah, and then she looked at the mitigating reasons, and it was all because it's like shortened length of available credit, like lack of assets in your name. Because when we got married, I was just a cash based guy. Like
That's how you describe.
That's a great way
That's
to
how you
describe
describe
Johnny.
your mid-20s. I was a cat. I was just
From
a
20 to
cash-based
25,
guy.
Johnny was a cash kind of guy.
Luke and I shared an apartment.
He
and
paid
we
it. He
didn't
paid
trust.
rent in cash.
Yep, and he didn't. We didn't trust the landlord, so he always paid his rent in checks, and I would just give him a wad of smushed up 20s from my cash jobs I've always
It looked
had.
like it was like sock 20s.
It definitely
They were sock
was.
20s because I worked at a kitchen, and I just
It didn't
once I
look like
saved
shit,
up enough
it was.
rent, I put that in a sock, and then that rent sock went in one side of the drawer, and all the other money in that drawer was just me money
Step
because that's how I
three.
lived.
Step 3,
That was
Always
my
have
have
finance.
sock money.
Always have some sock money squirreled
That's-
away
no, no.
because you might have to have a joint bank account, so you got to have some sock money squirreled.
I think
no,
it'll be
no,
worth
the
the
sock
time to
money
edit
was-
out all
was how
these
I paid
rules
the
like
rent.
separately.
That would be
Sometimes
great.
sometimes that sock didn't get full until way too close to when rent was due. But you had to not take money out of the drawer until the sock.
Now you got a
filled up.
stew going.
But that's why
so-
that's why you
So
should.
that was
always
my
have a
form
sock
of
full money.
finances. So once I got married, my wife was like, "That's absurd. You have to be an adult like
Wait,
I am."
wait.
And
Johnny,
she made
are
me
you
get a
telling-
Your
credit card,
wife
but for-
said that's absurd. You have to be an adult.
But for
That's
a
a good- that's a
year,
good point.
and part of marriage is you have someone you trust to force you out of your comfort
Johnny,
zone.
can I
and it's
ask
good
you a
for
very very
It's true.
serious question right now?
And I couldn't get a credit card.
Johnny.
Hold on. Before we got married, I couldn't get a credit card. I tried to go to the bank. They said, "No, you don't have enough credit." I was like, "But I have like $1,000 in your account in your bank right now. Can you just give me a credit card with like a $500 limit?" And they said, "No, we don't trust you." I was like, "All right." So I was
like-
like, "Who do
I like
I go
Johnny's
to?"
They said it
interpretation.
very personally like
yeah,
that.
Johnny said, "Oh, I would like to open up a credit card." No, we don't
They
trust.
could have
you.
just said, "Yeah, the computer says no." Because
Oh,
we
sorry.
trust
Yeah,
the-
yeah.
You don't meet
They
the
can say what they
requirement.
want, but the humans put that screen there so they can blame the computer. It's the people deciding.
Ultimately, when it's an edge case, I
So
think
they
the
said,
people
try
decide.
another bank. And I tried another bank. And then that bank said no. And I told them, they said to try another bank. And
I don't think you
I
tried
said I did
Discover.
already. And so they said, oh, well, why don't you try like Target or Kohl's or Home Depot?
God.
I was like, this is bad when the money store says you should go to the lumber store to get money, to get our services, because you're not
Also,
ready for money
What are you
store.
gonna do? Like spend money at Home Depot that you don't need to spend to build up your credit?
Right? It's like
Buy
I
your
rent an
groceries at
apartment.
Home Depot.
What do I need?
It's
Home
all
Depot or
wood.
like Target? It's like really the
Fiber.
place where people buy candles and Tupperware. I'm gonna let them be my creditors, because the professional creditors
That's scary,
don't
yeah.
trust me. I got denied at Target and Home Depot and Kohl's though.
Oh, you did it.
There's more to this story, yeah. Because and it's because they're like, you're 26, you have no credit and no assets. I had no bad
You're a
credit.
cash
though,
guy.
but I had no credit at all, and they were just like, we don't trust you because we don't know you. We have no way to
How
know
do you-
you.
how are you supposed to
And
get
so you're
credit
done.
then?
You
Not
gotta
only
buy
that,
food at
the
Home
guy.
Depot.
I finally went back to the bank and told them, I was like, "Can I reapply?" He's like, "Ooh, I don't think you want to do that." And I said,
Another
"Why?"
hard
He
check.
said,
Yeah.
It will hurt your credit score.
It hurts your credit every time you apply and get denied. I was like, shit, I've done that like 6 or 7 times so far. How do I get credit? Is you need experience to get the job, but you can't have a job
Yeah.
for the experience. It's one of those loopholes.
Yeah.
And then I finally, so we get married. And that was also on the credit report Kara got recently. It said too frequent checking or something, or too high frequency of applications was why my score was lower than hers, because it took me a while to get it.
Because it looks
As
like
soon
you're
as we
desperate
got
for money.
married,
You're like, I gotta get my fucking Home Depot fix, man.
Right, because you're a heroin
So
addict,
as soon as we
judging
got
by that
married,
tone
we
of
dumped
voice.
our wedding gift money into a bank account, and it was a lot of money for us, like a few $1,000s. It was more than I've ever had in my name. And
As a cash
went-
guy, yeah.
we went to a bank and we said we just got married and we want to open up a savings account here. And they said, why this bank? And Kara said, because my new doctor job direct deposits into your bank. And so they went, oh, okay. And then they immediately approved me for a
That's
credit
such
card.
a Caroline, yeah.
Because I was married to a doctor. So I got, and my credit limit started off higher than hers based on me being associated with her. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, of course it does.
Yeah,
Your
she-
assets are combined. You're legally married. So
But
that-
my credit, even though her score is higher than mine, they trust me to lend me more money.
Yeah, because you've duped somebody
course.
who's a real human into signing on to a
she's
lifetime
smart.
partnership.
She's a doctor. Either,
Yeah.
I mean, she married you, so like they must have missed something in the numbers about you.
Wait,
I definitely feel a lot more legitimate being married. Like trying to rent
Well,
an
you are
apartment, the
legally.
application process and stuff. Just her filling out her name first as Dr. Labriola. It's so much easier. You know, I don't have to deal with some Craigslist asshole. I can
Yeah.
go through like an actual rental agency.
Johnny,
Yeah,
I-
yeah.
I still need to ask you a very serious question.
Okay.
Are you telling me, can you confirm that you do not have a sock full of money squirreled away somewhere?
Not a sock.
Not a
all
single
that's
sock.
all
All right, so rule number 3 was have a sock. Of
Always
money.
have a sock of money squirreled away. Yeah. Figuratively. That could be like gold doubloons.
I
Whatever
might
you-
have
whatever you
several
want.
envelopes of money in different currencies hidden throughout. Let's just say the domestic United States. That's as specific as I want to be.
Is that where those coins came from?
You mean the
found
ones
some?
that
Okay,
fall out
that's
of your
fair.
ass when you wake up from bed?
No, I do have probably about $500 in just cash hidden throughout the world.
Yeah, here.
103.
Maybe we'll do a scavenger hunt.
We should do
someday.
the last couple of rules.
We got a few more rules, but I wanted to remind you guys about the ice cooler contest we had at this after party wedding.
Oh God,
Oh,
you're
that's
such
part
a lunatic.
that's part of what I said at the beginning of the episode, though. About a wedding is like, let's have a drinking competition to celebrate our friends or our families.
Oh.
Like, I think something primal awoke in me, like from like
It did.
my
It does.
ancestors' weddings in the fucking 1400s or something.
where they were. Long story
Yeah, that's not how
short, the
genetics
water
work,
cooler
but okay.
contest was there was this giant cooler,
Coffin cooler.
yeah, of beers and ice, and that had melted down to just Titanic sea water of ice and water.
It was
Cold
like
as
half
hell.
ice, half water.
Cold
Yeah.
as hell. So Luke got into these
Ice cold, you
multiple
might say.
competitions, and I just said, "This is hilarious. I'm going to time all this shit of who could hold their hand in the ice water the longest." And I think this should be rule number 2 about planning a wedding. If the person you're competing against, you're 6 minutes into, I put my hand in to get a beer for 3 seconds, and I said, "Ow, that's cold." When you're 6 minutes into keeping your hand in the ice water competition,
That was the third time I did it.
and on the third time that you do it, and the person who you're competing against laughs and says, "Hey, we should just sign a truce and say we both win," they're about to give up. and you hold steady.
Oh,
She
yeah.
was about to give up because I was freaking out. Though.
Yeah.
I would have
So
won
my
if
wife
I
was
held
playing
strong.
the
You
hold
would've
your
won.
hand in
You
the
totally
ice.
But I
would've
also
won.
thought when Johnny,
You
you were
totally
like, "Hey,
would've won.
Kara, might need to use your surgeon hands," and I was like, "Hey, Luke, you're a musician."
Also, that
Yeah, it was just dumb, and we were all drunk enough. And it was like people
I was
die
drunk
of
enough
like
to do nerve
hypothermia
damage.
all the time
Yeah.
from drinking.
that's why I was timing it because I was
I
curious.
would have gone like 36 minutes before like I sobered up enough because I was just sitting. No, wait, I'm not next to a cooler. I probably would have cracked a beer.
You could just crack a beer in the cooler.
Never mind. Also, the breathalyzer got brought out, and we started
Oh,
like
God.
having contests about that.
I don't think that was accurate.
It turns out it was. The only inaccurate thing
Joe,
is
you know
we
what
might have
Jonathan
been
Frakes has to
overblowing
say?
because people are supposed to
Similar
wait
event
15
in-
minutes.
Oh, I was blowing
right.
hard. What?
You were right.
Our research found a published
You know what
report of a
Jonathan
similar
Frakes has to
story.
say?
Is this rule number 2?
Yes.
Are you, no, rule number 2 is don't give up on the
Similar
ice
story.
game thing if they offer you a
Oh,
truce.
never give up.
Never give up. Never give up.
Never, ever,
give up.
ever give up.
Unless you're
Rule number 2.
unless
Never,
you're,
ever, ever give
unless
up.
your significant other sucks, then get a divorce. Get the fuck
No,
out.
I mean, the Japanese definitely should have given up after
My
we nuked
advice
two
is
cities.
instead of
Yeah.
getting a divorce,
yeah.
see that problem earlier and don't get married.
Oh, thanks.
So,
Luke.
great
That's great.
advice.
Oh, why didn't you just avoid the war? That's
Do you guys
great
want to?
advice,
Do you guys
Al.
know what the
Thank
rule is if you want to get divorced in North Carolina?
Is it
Fuck
the
a pig? I don't know.
the Mocklin shit where you have to stab the person?
yeah,
in
you
the
just
chest?
kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we do it here. No, you have to live in separate homes. You have to have
Domiciles.
separate
No, you have to live in
addresses for
separate
1 year
domiciles.
before you're legally allowed to divorce.
Is that just like what if there's like
It's state law.
something else? Like you can be like, oh, she's sleeping with her boss. Like
Yep, you can beat the shit out of your spouse, and the cops come and give you a restraining order. The divorce doesn't get finalized until 1 year.
do you think
can't
that's a
even-
good or a bad thing?
I think it's a terrible bullshit Southern.
Do you think
like,
divorce should be
religious
like
nonsense.
easier or harder?
Hey, man.
What? I think that law dates back to when it was harder for a woman to go out and get
Oh,
a place on her
gotcha,
own and find a
gotcha.
job to support herself, so she had to stay with her.
Oh,
abusive
that
husband.
makes sense. They have to
But-
be able to say, "Oh, you have a situation that is."
But I think it's under the
sustainable.
guise of like, don't be
Relatively.
rash and ruin your family planning. It's some nonsense, you know.
Yeah.
But it's because I know a friend. She moved here from Texas because her husband, who's a shithead, had a job in North Carolina, and I think he cheated on her within like 3 months of moving there, and so she moved out because she had to move out. Because even though she couldn't afford it, because she wanted to divorce him, and she realized I have to wait a year from when I can get my own apartment. So she was just gonna because there's lots of unhappy people who are roommates while they're getting divorced. Because
Right.
It
it's expensive.
unnecessarily slows certain situations down.
And
for sure.
so she had to do it all backwards, and it affected everything from your credit to what I mean, because your spouse can go out and get credit cards, even not in your name, just in their name.
they
and
can
just
get
ruin
like a
your
shared
credit.
thing, like and
Right. And
Yeah.
your shared assets can freeze up, or, like all your stuff. Like if you want to argue, this is my stuff, that's your stuff.
What if they
you have to
start selling
wait,
shit on Craigslist or whatever?
right before that year passes, and you get to settle things in divorce court. And then she found somebody who she wanted to get married to, and she's like, well, we got to wait.
And that poor fucker was like, oh shit, now I've got to be like on team this against that. Like I didn't,
Right. And it's an absurd rule, especially they did not get married in this state, but they live in this state. And if you stay in the state, that's how you have to do it to sue for divorce. Crazy.
See, my idea, I don't know about whether divorce should be easy.
How many
or hard,
how many
but
wives do you think you're allowed to have, Luke?
my idea about
Don't answer-
marriage
don't
would,
answer that
would
question.
would be a one wife situation, and
No, not ideal. How many do you believe you are allowed to have? Like, why does the state have the right to tell me how many wives I can have? Where do they get off?
I'm not sure that I have thought about that, but my instinct would say that probably there's something that is more stable about a monogamous relationship, roughly speaking, where people.
How is that the state's business, though?
What I'm
How's
saying
that the
is the
government's
state
business?
would have business in that to say, hey, if this is a really stable way for people to live their lives, then we will benefit them by, making it a legal, they will get benefits legally by being married. Because like I said, there's like the personal, spiritual, all that stuff version of marriage and why there's benefits.
Faster.
But there's also like the legal part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but if both my wives agree that they want to share half of their
Wait,
stuff
no,
with
what
each
if-
other
why
on
can't-
top of me,
Why can't a girl have two husbands?
right?
Right?
Why
What?
not? If all parties are willing
So,
and
but
all
what's
sign
your
off
limit?
on the marriage,
Is there any limit to the total number of people that can be grouped together?
I mean, yeah, there's only so many people.
So the legal part of marriage is whatever it is, but the thing I've come to is sort of thinking of it as it's a vow that you say the breakup option is off the table. We have
It's
to
not.
solve these problems.
It's not though.
I know it's not, but that's the legal part. I'm saying it's the truth you tell each other, the sort of story you tell each other that you're going to live by is that whatever chaos and suffering and crazy shit that we encounter in the future, the idea would be that breakup is off the table.
So that's a weird way to look at it to me because I see it more.
I
as
don't
just,
see it. I see that as the strongest, like support beam that's holding up the concept of marriage. It's that I will not leave this situation no matter how rough the storm gets. I'll stay here unless death is the thing that does us part.
Till death do you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so, but it's an expectation. It's about shared expectations is the biggest part, I think, because my wife and I both know what the other one could do to make us leave, and it's pretty much just cheating on the other one, or trying to hurt. Like if she started hitting me or abusing me physically or mentally, I would leave.
What if she started smoking 4 packs of cigarettes a day? No compromise. Can't go
But
down to 3.
Doesn't this,
I would be fine. I would be like, don't kiss me with your cig breath, but like I'll stay married to you.
doesn't this come down to the same problem of like when you take a vow with someone, if in 10 years they're nobody even remotely identical to the person you made the vow
This
to?
is what we were talking about in the Game of Thrones episode.
Yeah.
Where
Love
if
is
you
the
come
death
back
of
to
duty.
a vow from 10 years ago where I was supposed to do whatever, and you say, well, this is a different person with different priorities, different goals. It's not the same person I made the vow to, or the oath to. Do I keep that oath, right?
Oh, it is true. A wedding, a marriage is something you renew your vows every day by agreeing
I think in
try.
any healthy relationship, you're
There's a lot of
making
wedding
vows to
marriages
each
out
other.
there where
I would say ideally,
spoken and
right?
unspoken. You know,
there's a lot of marriages where people aren't trying anymore, and then either they just die unhappy or it fizzles out and they get divorced.
when people stop
But-
trying, it's like a fruit rotting on the end of a tree.
Right. It's not going to
beautiful.
end well. And so you definitely do have to try every day. And I mean, maybe someday I'll wake up or my wife will wake up and just look at me and be like, I got nothing. I'm out. I'm out of gas. Like I'm done. And that's I mean, that's fine. She's a person, but
That can
tapping
happen,
out.
but my theory about that is
totally
that
happen.
the warning signs about that were probably like a year prior, and you probably could have like sorted it out if you like.
yeah, I mean,
opened
what
your
day
mouth.
do you become an alcoholic? Is there a specific day?
Exactly,
Oh,
it's,
it was
it's always
June
a
6th.
sliding scale into that kind of thing.
You
Although
just realize all of a
sometimes
sudden all your friends are drunks and you don't remember where your car is, and it's been days. You know what I mean? Like, there's not like a defining moment.
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes there is a moment that stands out as like
So
I've arrived.
Luke's rule number 2 would be no divorces, right? That's
No,
what it
rule
sounded
number
like.
2 was don't give up on the ice game.
Oh, I'm never going to give you up. Never going to let you down. Never
we need a
gonna
rule number
hurt
1.
you.
What's rule number 1 about planning a wedding?
Never get divorced.
Never. Is that it? Are we done?
I don't hear Johnny.
Did we cut out?
Why not?
I don't think.
Oh,
Johnny-
there you are.
Johnny.
Just wasn't
So
talking.
what's the number 1 rule of?
Do you have a would you rather, Johnny?
This is rule number 1, baby. I don't know how much we could play, but
We're
Do it in
allowed-
5-second intervals.
seconds.
This is
Yeah, just
this is fair use, right?
hit pause
you
every
didn't see that
5
coming, did you?
We're analyzing it.
I
we're
can't
we're
listen
talking
to that
about
guy.
we're doing music analysis. It's fair use.
Never give up. That's rule number 1. Oh shit!
All
That
right,
was
so
rule
Joe's
number 2.
rule number 1 is never give up.
No, wasn't that rule number 2?
Wait, is this wedding
never,
advice
You
or
literally said
marriage
rule number
advice?
2 was never give up in the ice bath.
Oh yeah, that's right. Never mind. Like share.
pulling this, Joe.
Rule number 1 is like, share, and subscribe.
Is that rule number 1?
Why not?
How about this? Would you
made it
rather be
this long,
married?
You're not expecting a real number 1.
Would you rather be married to a genie
Yes.
or
Bortis.
alone for the rest of your life?
Oh, definitely married to a genie. Fuck yeah.
Really?
I think I would. I scare myself a little bit with the thought of it, but I think I
Of
would
being
be pretty,
married to a genie?
No, I think
How
I'd
about
be
this?
pretty.
How about this? You
Pretty,
either get married to a genie or a saint.
Does the saint have genie powers?
Wait a second. You gave me the option of being alone, and now you've taken that away all of a sudden.
Yeah, you're getting married no matter what.
Oh my god, that's the worst.
Don't. Oh God, why are you?
What did he say?
Oh God, Luke. God damn it. He was being benevolent.
You reneged on your deal, you cheap motherfucking genie.
Wow.
All right, so would you rather
oh,
be
God.
the handicapped spouse, the legless spouse of a genie, or a saint? Luke, that's the new question.
Or a saint, he has to become a saint.
No, your spouse is a saint. You have no legs in this scenario because you were being a dick.
Then why
earlier
don't you
when I
take
posed
away
the
my
question.
arms, you fat piece of shit?
All right, so
You blue
Luke the
motherfucker.
Stump can decide who he wants to marry. Joe, four-limbed Joe, as they're going to call you. Which would you pick?
When you say saint, I have a genie question. Do you mean a Christian saint, or do you
Yeah.
mean somebody who's just the bomb, like somebody who's
No,
awesome?
like an actual saint. They've
Fuck.
performed some miracles. They have some kind of
Miracles
blessed.
are real in this
Wait,
scenario.
can I ask
mission.
I guess if genies are real.
Wait,
yeah.
can I ask a serious?
Right.
Let's get serious for a second here. Can I ask a really serious question? Are
Yeah.
they hot?
In both cases, they are. Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Which one's hotter?
I mean, that's subjective. I'm not going to get in your head
Oh,
here.
but the genie could snap its fingers and be whoever I want, right? If I please the genie.
Right? Yeah. I mean, you can't just demand blowjobs all the time in any relationship. There has
No,
to be
but
give and take.
if I sate the genie well, I can ask for as many blue G's as I want, right?
Right, but you might have to rub the genie's tail.
You're
or
marrying a
whatever.
girl
That
genie? Who
wispy
said
thing
that?
is that
I just want
connects to
blue
the
G's
lamp.
because I don't know what a blue G is, but a genie could do it. A genie could give you all the blue G's at once, right?
Do they
He's
have
got a point.
Do they have legs? The genie?
They
No,
can
that's
snap
why.
their
That's why I
fingers.
said to Joe, you might have to caress the wispy tail that connects
Right.
to the lamp or
Right,
whatever.
right.
That might be their sex
Maybe
organ.
the
I don't know.
tail kind of wisps around your dick and tugs and ebbs and flows and
All right, so Luke's already got the wedding night or
I'll do
morning
the genie.
worked out.
sounds good.
But you don't have limbs.
Yeah, but I still have a dick. Right?
Do you really think you'll be a rewarding spouse to a genie if you have no limbs?
You can try.
I don't know how to answer that question.
I mean, you kind of set yourself up. Don't act like these questions are coming out of the blue, Luke. You did this to yourself.
They are coming out of the blue, you fucking genie.
He's right.
Wow. All right. So, Luke, would you rather be happily stumped unmarried to. All right. So, rule number one is to not piss off the genie when
Yes.
he's trying
As
to
always.
arrange your
Yes.
marriage.
That's the
I think that's a
genie
good
trick
number one
of
rule.
this episode. Was
Actually, I want to give some advice, and let's make this rule number 0 then.
Yeah, we
'Cause
need a
this
rule
is,
number
the
0.
countdown to 0.
Yeah.
In the
He's
Orville,
gonna hang up.
Seth MacFarlane's character was giving the best advice ever, which was his ex-wife was dating someone new, and this guy was just this perfect guy, never got angry, very balanced, etc., etc. And Seth MacFarlane goes, "You can't
hang
be
up.
perfect. Girls don't like perfect. Don't be perfect." He goes,
you
"Be a
sent me
dummy
that.
sometimes, and be a really big dummy once in a while."
But whatever you do, don't be perfect
But
all the time.
Yeah, don't be
Yeah.
perfect. And I
Great
was like,
nobody wants
oh,
perfect.
that's actually decent advice. And luckily, I do that naturally. I'm dumb sometime naturally, and I'm really dumb a few times naturally.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Like, share, and subscribe. Rule number 0. And this has been 11 guides to throwing the proper wedding.
I'm trying to give him a chance to hang up, but he won't do it. I don't know what to do.
Webster's dictionary defines wedding as the fusing of two metals with a hot torch. Well, you know something? I think you guys are two metals, gold medals.
I think I'm going to say that at a wedding whenever I can.
Because he clearly misread welding for wedding.
Wasn't that also a scenario where he
And it
was
made
in
it
no
into the
position to
speech.
be giving a toast?
Yeah.
Like-
He was not supposed to be talking. They tried to structure it so that he couldn't
And
talk.
they take away the mic eventually, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, for fairly
when he
angrily.
gets sexual about it, yes.
And also the whole starting a speech with Webster's dictionary defines
You Googled it.
that never worked.
worst. Yeah,
You know, a
worst way
lot
to
of
start
blog
a
posts
speech.
start with that. It's Webster's dictionary defines whatever as the blah blah blah.
No,
It's like,
Dan Harmon said it best in Community when he says Webster's dictionary defines is the Jim Belushi of opening lines for speeches, which is just a dig at Jim Belushi too because he's a piece of shit. But all right, so I guess that's it.
Can we just say bye? Do we have to do the hang up game? Can
yeah,
we be
I'm
civilized?
fine with just saying,
we
saying
don't
bye,
technically
guys.
have to do.
You can do the wrap up at the end. That's fine. All right, yeah. So I guess they're gonna giggle, and then you'll hear them after me. Go ahead and gloat, but it's not about the winning. I have a very happy domestic life. I've already won. And if you're really thinking about a wedding, probably not the right place to go for advice. Maybe we should label this a drunk tank. We kind of rambled. I do stand by the flowers thing. It's kind of a waste of money. Unless you're marrying a florist or a lady who really enjoys a nice flower. It's a dead thing in the middle of the table that you have to stare at, is how my wife put it. Which is one of the reasons I married her. So think about it. And just remember, 2 bits of advice I am going to give, I forgot, is nobody cares what Corinthians says about love. That's a book written by a bunch of racist old shepherds from 2,000 years ago. You know, the whole love is kind, love is this. We get it, all right? I don't need to hear what Corinthians is saying about it. And 2, that weird like white cake, the spongy white cake with that raspberry like jism cream in the middle. I've never liked any of it. Who likes that cake? Like the fondant kind of frosting that gets like hard because they made it the night before and it's just sitting out because it's huge. Does anyone even like those cakes? Just order a bunch of pies. We got like a dozen really nice pies from this pie stand. Maybe like 20 pies. So there was variety. You know, raspberry cake. I hate raspberry. Well, go fuck yourself. This way, you got peach cobbler, you got strawberry rhubarb. People can pick and choose. So that's the only actual advice I'm going to give it all in this podcast. And I hope you've made it this far. You don't hate us or yourself. And if we scared you out of getting married, then maybe you should take some time to think about it anyways. If we were able to dissuade you, life's going to be harder than this. So thanks for listening. And like, share, subscribe. Later, Thunkers.
All right, we definitely won.
We were all.
I couldn't tell if he was going for the hang up or if he was like.
I'm always gonna hang up. You know how many times this happened at that wedding weekend where you believe something I said and then I said, yeah, no, that's a lie, and you say, and I said, of course I'm lying. I'm always lying. Yeah, I'm always going to lie.
Like in the very Dennis way. It's like, of course I'm not going to follow through with what I said. What did you think? I was going to follow through?
It's so funny you say that. There was definitely at least 2 points where I said, of course I'm lying.
Well,
Luke.
you were making bets
lying.
to me. You're like, if you do this.
Oh, yeah.
I think you wanted me to like poop somewhere.
No, yeah, that's plausible. But I also got you down. I negotiated you at one point down to $220 to do a toast.
You wanted me to like
people.
get up there, take the microphone, and do a toast.
Do a toast, but to the podcast. Be like,
and promote the podcast as part of it. Yeah,
as part
That's
of the toast.
That's what you were doing. Yeah,
just do something along the lines of, I'm so happy to be here tonight with all our friends and family and these great people who we're so thrilled to share our podcast with, especially if you are a listener coming to us for the first time. Yeah. Just turn it into a shameless self-promotion.
I think you started asking around our table and tried to raise money.
I was trying to raise money. That's right. That did happen.
It got up to like 150.
Yeah.
And I was saying I want at least 400.
Yeah. You should have done it.
Even for 400, I remember I said at $400, if you raise that much,
but what are the consequences?
I will start to consider it.
What are the consequences?
Well, I would really want to make sure that
the consequences
I'm not
are
like breaking any like subtle rule that would prevent me from getting paid.
The consequences are, I would have never paid you a dime.
That's what I mean. I would never make a bet with you. I assume you've already found a loophole.
You shouldn't. So there's a little genie.
I remember saying to you at the wedding, like, "Damn, you're like halfway to genie."
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Well, we discussed how Johnny's. What if that's the true trick of the podcast? It turns out that I was the genie the whole time.
Oh yeah,
and I was licensing it out. I can't say license. All right, we're done.
Yeah, I can't either.
All right. Well, thanks for listening.
I also wanted to say there was like a problem person at the wedding, and we were playing this prank on each other where like. God. This person would come over to our group and start talking, and like all of us, like all but one in that group would kind of make eye contact and quickly run away and like dump this person on the other person who would get stuck in like a 10-minute like conversation.
But I felt bad because then it just became let's torture Luke.
Well, you guys were better at it than I was, I think.
Yeah,
I'm a little bit too agreeable of a person.
You
so
are.
like when someone like that comes over, I just want to make them feel comfortable and like I'm trying to calm them down, be like, yo, stop talking.
You accept
calm
it
down,
as a
take
challenge.
a breath.
See, I just don't respond. I just ignore it because I'm like, I don't want
But
to
then
play
I
that
hate
game.
myself afterwards when I'm like laughing at their jokes.
Oh, I hate myself all the time.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I hate myself more.
That's your problem. See,
Yeah.
I hate myself equally across all
I
time
think you should
frames.
only get married. Rule number -1. Only get married to people who hate you.
All right, we're done.
Okay.
Please.
Oh,
like,
you've
share,
already
and
heard
subscribe.
Johnny.
Yeah.
This is us now.
Yeah, we win.
Okay.
Happy wedding.
Happy wedding. And if you do get married,
Good luck
take
to you.
it seriously.
Yeah, no.
And
yeah.
if you don't get married, it's okay.
Yeah, have a vow to yourself.
And join us last week for episode Andrew Yang.
Debate, like, share,
Tomorrow
and
night.
subscribe. UBI.
Oh, God.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening to the Thunk Tank podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to help us out, please consider leaving a rating or a review wherever you listen to podcasts, and share it with people you think might like it. And if you really want to support us, you can go over to patreon.com/ThunkTankPodcast. We have links to this in the episode description and other places. And for as little as $1 an episode, you can help us keep the lights on. And you also get access to a very special Drunk Tank feed of episodes. So every few episodes, we'll have a few more beers and record an extra 20 to 30 minutes of extra thunky, silly whateverness. So there's a separate RSS link you can get from there, and if you put that into a podcast player, you'll get your own separate feed of only the Drunk Tanks. I think we have about 6 or 7 of them out already, and more to come. Thanks for listening, and stay funky.